All right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had to believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how do you believe my words? So praise be to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Bless his Kadesh Shabbat. Let's go ahead around here to Psalms 139, if you would. And make it do what it do. And make it move how it moves. I think we stopped at verse 2. So we're going to pick this up in Psalms 139 and 3. He said, you compass my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. So when we look at acquainted, you have sakan. That is to be of use, of service, or profit, or benefit. To be used. Also to be familiar with and to know intimately, but to be serviceable. So he knows that his ways are serviceable. Let's take a look at John chapter 14 and verse 1 for this matter. Notice that he said he compassed his path and his lying down. When we look at compass, we have Zerah, which is to scatter, spread, disperse, to winnow. Also to, I just said spread already, so nevertheless. So he said he spread his path, he spread his lying down, and his ways are of use and of service and of profit. John chapter 14 and verse 1. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in Elohim, believe also in me. In my Abba's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And whither I go, you know, and the way you know. Thomas said unto him, Lord, we know not whither you go, and how can we know the way? Yahushua said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man can come unto Abba but by me. Now we came here because he said that he is the way. His way is serviceable. He has scattered out his path. Let me see what they got here for path, because I don't want to speak. Of course, that is Orah, that is the way of life. He has scattered his way of life. He has scattered his lying down. What do you take from that? Scattering his way of life, scattering his lying down, and that he is of service in his ways. Lying down, for those of you who know, is Rabah. Rosh Bat Nain for literally lying down. What do you believe that means? He has scattered his way of life. He has scattered his lying down. And he is of service through his darak, or his ways. Oh, y'all not swift on the draw on that one. No, y'all don't have an idea. Is that what it is? I got time, cuz. I got time. Because you won't skate by that easily. Oh, no, still ain't came up with nothing. Don't worry. I'll wait. I shall wait for you. I shall wait for you to give us an offering. Same verse. Verse 5. We ain't moved from verse 5. He says he's scattered his way of life. I'm sorry, that's verse 3. He scattered his way of life and is lying down. And he is of use of service in his pathway, in his rock, in the way that he should go. You know, your way, your road, your journey, your manner, also, of course, of life, moral character. No, he says scattered it, scattered his way of life, scattered his lying down. Y'all probably overthinking the matter. You don't have to overthink it. It's right here in your face. One thing you don't have to do is overthink it. Maybe this will help you out a little bit if we just add something on here just to add it. Let's look at Judges 19. Maybe this will help you out. Scattering his way and his lying down. We'll get to the last part in a moment. Maybe this will help you out a little bit. Judges chapter 19. You can pick it up at verse 22. Judges chapter 19, verse 22. Now, as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about and beat at the door. Spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, bring forth the man that have come into your house, that we may know him. The master of the house, went out unto them and said, nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly. Seeing that this man is come into my house, do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Then will I bring out now and humble you them. Do with them what seem good unto you, but unto this man do not such a vile thing. The men would not hearken to him, so the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her, and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. Let's look at abuse. Now, some people would have a problem with what just occurred here. And he was like, if these men were going to be violent, they say it was better for them to lay with a young woman than to rape a man. Not even going to be, like it's here to be using particular adjectives to accentuate on the fact of the vulgarity of the act. But just in regards of that was Eastern culture. People may not like it, but that's what they did. That's how people got down. That's how they rolled. To violate a man in that fashion was a very dishonorable thing to do. I don't think people now, because we live in a different type of society, if you would, We don't understand how foul and just vile that such an action is. The word here is a law for abuse. It's to act severely, to deal with severely, to make a fool of someone, to deal ruthlessly, abuse by thrusting through, to practice practices, to thrust forth in wickedness, to defile, to cause pain, to overdo, to maltreat, all manner of wickedness, if you would. Where are we at with that? Verse 26, then came the woman in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the man's house where the Lord was, till it was light, where the house where her Lord, till it was light. Her Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. He said unto her, up, let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her upon an ass. The man rose up and got him unto his place. And when he was coming to the house, he took a knife and laid hold on his concubine and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces and sent her into all the coasts of Yasharal. It was so that all that saw it said there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the sons of Yasharal came up out of the land of Mizraim. This day consider it, take advice, and speak. Your minds is not there. Just tell them to speak. So we should have the bar there. And we do. Take advice in this instance is oots, the counsel, and plan. Now, Stanley has laid out what I thought y'all would be able to pick up very easily. When he's talking about scattering his way of life, it's scattering the word or scattering his testimony of who he was. That's why I mentioned that moral character. Now, when you're talking about scattering his lying down, of course, it's talking about his resurrection, which we picked up on and we were discussing on Wednesday. That's why I asked y'all that, because all the stuff just is tying in all together. It's us just hearkening here and hearkening there. You don't have to think hard and drastically to think about the most deepest thing that you can come up with. Things are simple. They're simple. Have to try to refrain yourself from overthinking to try to figure out an answer. You know what I'm saying? Stuff be right there in your face. You already know it. You just got to look at it and see, because it's telling you. Now, we came here because it said what? Cut up the 12 pieces of that woman with her bones. Why is that important with her bones? Now, we're going to put you to the test. Why is that important that he cut her up with her bones? I need scriptural answers, please. As specific as possible as you can be. Man, I hate these things. Why is that important? With her bones. You got at least 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 6 scriptural references that you can use. Good, strong 6. Good, strong 6. And you would be right, sir. That is one of them. One of the main ones. There's one that should be very, very easy. Actually, 2, because those 2 coincide together. They should be very, very easy for you to pick up. Let's come over here to Psalms 34 while you think about them other 2. Well, y'all can't miss on this one here, man. This too easy, man. This too easy. Just too easy. This one here, why it mentioned that he cut her up with the bones, that's too easy. Y'all should knock that one down right on out the park. Right out the box. Let me get the word for bones. Let me get these bones for you. Maybe that'll help you out. No, not with the piercing through to the bone and marrow. You think about Hebrews 4 and 12. Now, I just want you to begin to think with bones, right? your bone, your life, your saying, your strength, your substance, yourself, your external members, ayin, sa, and meme. The way of the Ruach. Etzim is the word. You've experienced the way of the Ruach. But again, y'all should know this one here, man, why he kept the bones. Maybe this Psalms 34 will help you out to decipher that. You can pick this up at verse 1. I'll make it as swift as possible. Psalms 34 and 1. I will bless Yahuwah at all times. His praise shall be continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make her boast in Yahuwah. The humble shall hear and be glad. That takes us back to the Luke 24. That when Yahushua rose from the dead, he made his boast in his Father, and the humble were glad. You can see the same purpose in John chapter 8. Anytime he came across those, matter of fact, anytime he came across somebody who was seeking for the grace, aka the mercy of Elohim, when they heard the good news of the kingdom, they were glad. And again, this is why we're zeroing in on verse 3. We say we're going to take our time. We're going to run through these psalms, some of these psalms, and we're going to zero in on certain passages because certain passages have certain things that have elements that are necessary to be elucidated on. And what we're focusing on is the element of his way of life, and his resurrection had to be scattered. It was necessary. And that's why he was able to be serviceable in his ways. That's why he was able to use him. Oh, Jeremiah 8 and 1. No, that's not the one right there. That's not the one right there. But I'll run through it just on the house. I'm trying not to give it away, but I'm going to tell you, y'all should know this one here very, very easily because it's in the law. Nevertheless, verse 3 of Psalm 34. Oh, magnify Yahuwah with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought Yahuwah, and he heard me, and he delivered me from all my fears. They looked unto him and were lightened, and their faces were not ashamed. The poor man cried, and Yahuwah heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The Malachim of Yahuwah encamp around about them that fear him and deliver them. O taste and see Yahuwah is good. Blessed is the man that trusts in him. O fear Yahuwah, his faithful, for there is no want to them that fear him. That is a fact. I go back to what we were talking about in Matthew chapter 6 or chapter 5, whichever chapter that is. I want to say chapter 5. Ain't nobody wanting or lacking. See, this is the thing. And, we've talked about this before from time to time. I said this with want. See, you ain't going to want or need for anything. See, and that's what the word is mentioned there. Yeah, that's different because Joseph had made a statement of don't leave his bones in Egypt. This is what you have to think along the lines of what you're looking at in the Judges 19. There was a woman who was abused. This woman was abused. She was cut in 12 pieces. Her bones remained. Now, he had ayin, sod, and meme. So this is someone who's experienced the way of the Ruach. So you're looking at this here in the testimony of Yahushua as a Ruach of prophecy. So in reality, this woman was a sacrifice and her bones remained. This should be very easy for y'all to ascertain, especially considering that I told you that it's in the law. Now that word for want here is ma'aksor, need, poverty, lack, want. There is no poverty. There is no need for those that fear him. See, that's what a lot of people don't say. But that's what I'm telling you. That goes back to the Matthew. You don't take no thought for your life, having all that anxiety and worry about those things. And how could you have that and you reverence the man who you know is going to do that on your behalf? That's what a lot of people don't realize. Is your lack of respect is why most people are in poverty or in need. See, but again, that this man has told you to pray and that you should pray for, give us this day our daily bread. Or as the writer in Proverbs stated, give me food convenient for me. But in truth be told, you ought to be content because each day passes as long as you were able to eat that day to sustain your sustenance. As long as you had clothes on your back and a place of shelter to rest in, you ought to be content. Well, people ain't content. You know what I'm saying? Most people in life, they don't screw happiness. They don't even get a level of joy because they're concerned with the wrong things. I was talking to Dean earlier today, man, and of course we all know it, that you live in this country. He was talking about we were riding past McDonald's, man, and they had a sign out there saying, you know, $11.50, $14.50 for managers. You know what I'm saying? And everybody know it if you done worked in a fast food restaurant in your youth. They like to make a young person a shift leader. You know what I'm saying? It's a duck job. You know what I'm talking about? Unless you really focus on getting your money up. You know what I'm saying? I only say it's a duck job because you go into it, you're only getting paid maybe $1 or $2 more than everybody else. But you have to work 10 times as hard. You have to know how to run the whole entire store. And if somebody don't come to work, you got to stay. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you getting all the type of bread, but you're really getting duck. You're really getting used as a buffalo mule because you're not being compensated according to your value. Shalom, man, of what you're offering these people. You know what I'm saying? And of course, you know, I'm referring to that this here, right? I told y'all before. I remember when I was Uber and the lady told me, like, in Spain, they take a siesta. Everything shut down. Everybody lay down and go to sleep. Take a nap. Everybody leave work. You know what I'm saying? And something like that happen in America, people lose their mind. Because, you know, we get bombarded with, you got to hustle and grind 24/7, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. That's the type of mind frame you have. So when you're doing all that, does it even lend to an individual being content, much less achieving any form of happiness? You know what I'm talking about? Much less being even to tap in to the ultimate, which is joy. Because as I've told you before, happiness is fleeting. If you're seeking to be happy, you'll never be happy because you'll be happy one moment and then it passes. And that's why most people don't maintain marriages and things of that nature for an extended period of time, because you're seeking to be happy. And the moment that you're not happy, you're ready to depart, to repeat that whole cycle over and over again. You know what I'm saying? You have a generation of people who have no level of commitment to anything. That's why people, when they first deal with the word, there's no joy, it's just happiness. You're happy to find out you're an Israelite. You're happy to find some new information you didn't know. But because it wasn't rooted in joy in regard of who you were dealing with, that was fleeting. The happiness passes. Now you're ready to leave and go and try to get the euphoria that you had when you learned about Yahuwah from a new God or some new spiritual deep information for you to make yourselves feel better. Yes, sir, that is correct. The Exodus 12:46 is correct. That was the correct answer the entire time. That besides the Psalms 34, there was no other answer that really could be given. That particular passage is Psalm 34, is referenced in John. John would have been acceptable as well. John 19 to be specific. And I'll grab the Ephesians 5:30 and the Jeremiah 8:1 just because they were offered. But let's continue. Verse 10. The young lions do lack and suffer hunger, but they that seek Yahuwah shall not want any good. They shall not be in poverty or in need of anything that is pleasant, that is good. Come, you sons, hearken unto me, and I will teach you the fear of Yahuwah. What man is he that desire life and love many days, that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from speaking guile. This is a very simple thing. What he's telling you: don't promote and endorse evil, and don't lie. Depart from evil, do good, seek peace, and pursue it. Of course, you know, he that depart from evil, that is understanding. That is Job 28:28, if I'm not mistaken. Let me verify. Yes, it is. And unto the man he said, behold, the fear of Yahuwah, that is wisdom, and depart from evil is understanding. That's when you begin to develop some level of insight. The face of Yahuwah is against, or the eyes of Yahuwah are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. The face of Yahuwah is against them that do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. Now it says the righteous cry, but it's not there. It says Yahuwah hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. Yahuwah is near unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite ruach. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yahuwah delivered them out of them all. Pause. Come over here to James, the epistle of James to be specific, chapter 5. Because he said, many are the afflictions of the righteous. Now, you have afflictions here. You have ra, which means that there are many unpleasant, and unhappy and miserable things that happens to the righteous. That is another thing that most people who come into the way that they don't particularly care for. Is that there will be unpleasant things that occur to you. James, chapter 5 and verse 10. I mentioned James, but it will repeat what I'm thinking about. I'll use both. Take my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Behold, we count them happy which endure. You have heard the patience of Job and have seen the end of Yahuwah, that Yahuwah is pitiful and of tender mercy. Now, of course, we know all the evil that befell Job. We don't even need to sit here and enumerate all of those things. But look at what he told you, that they count them blessed that endure, and you've heard the patience of Job, and you've seen what the end of Yahuwah is if you can endure those afflictions. Of course, we know the afflictions at the end for Yahusha was everlasting life through the resurrection of the dead. Let's take a look at 1 Peter chapter 5, if we would. And again, of course, you know, that takes us back to the Matthew 13, that most people ain't got no root in them, because when suffering and affliction arise, or persecution or tribulation arise because the word, by and by they are offended. Remember, I think we read it the other day, but Yahushua said, blessed are those who are not offended in me. See, there's a lot of people when the rubber meet the road, they're going to be offended in him. See, all that stuff we got going on right now, man, ain't nothing shaking, ain't nothing popping. But you're going to see. When it's time to go to jail, when it's time to get killed for the word, a lot of people are going to be offended. Matter of fact, let me just put this out there. Let me not just say the word as for the word of Yahuwah itself, but for the name of Yahusha and his proclamation. People are going to be offended. And they're going to reject him. That's why he say, blessed are those who are not offended in him. Some are offended at the very notion of who he is and what he stands for. And again, that goes back to he has scattered or winnowed his orak, or his way of life, in Psalms 139, where we began. But let's continue in 1 Peter chapter 5. And let's pick this up at verse 6. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he cared for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walk about seeking whom he may devour, whom resists steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. See, that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of individuals, notice that he said to resist steadfast in the faith. That's what you see Mashiach do in Matthew chapter 4. See, we taught this before, right? Easy question. When Satan came to tempt Eve, what was his objective? What was he getting her to try? What was he seeking to get her to do? Let's not even put it at Eve. What is Satan's number one objective? What is his objective? What is he seeking to do? Don't worry, I'll wait. What is Satan seeking to do? What is his number one objective? And those would be acceptable, but that's not his number one objective. To skill and destroy is not his number one objective. To cause you to rebel is not his number one objective. To steal you from the word is not even his number one objective. To have you go after your lust they're all his objectives, but they're not his number one objective. Accuse you? No, that's what he liked to do. But that ain't his number one objective. What is his number one objective? Y'all don't know what his number one objective is? Y'all know what his number one objective is? Now to get to the rebel. No, somebody off of that. Put yourself above Yahuwah. No, his number one objective is to cause you to doubt and disbelieve the word. Not just turn you from the word, but to cause you to doubt and disbelieve it. Because if it's not a faith in it, see, if you don't believe, you're already done. Doesn't even matter. You know what I'm saying? The rebelling, because you could believe the word and be steered away off your own lust to do something that is not me. But remember, he caused her to doubt what the man said to her. That's what he caused her to do, with the doubt the validity of the word. When you doubt the validity of the word, you're finished. Because if you don't believe in the man, there's even no point. Who are the first people who he said get cast out? The fearful and the unbelieving. So you have to look at that. If you doubt the word, you're finished. Because nothing else deriving from it is even going to matter. His number one objective is to cause you to not believe or to doubt. See, the stuff y'all mentioning to lift yourself up, that's pride. That's elements of other matters. But his objective is to cause you to not believe the word. Because if you don't believe the word, then the word cannot be effective on your behalf. You wouldn't even have a desire to repent from any of the things that y'all mentioned if you didn't believe it. It wouldn't even matter. You got folks out here, like, you know what I'm talking about, who say we need to stop to call the word a superstition, fairy tales. These people have already doubted the word. They're done. They're already finished. So it doesn't even matter. But somebody who say they believe the word, his biggest strength is to come to cause you to doubt it. See, I'm meant to know people because he's caused them to not believe it. He has deceived them into believing that the word is not valid. He seeks to deceive those who believe it by causing them to doubt it. Once you doubt it, it's over with. Remember, I tell you that in Romans 14 and 23. Anything that is not of faith is a sin. First Peter, that's why he said, whom resist steadfast in the faith. That's why I mentioned that. That's what Yahushua did. He resisted him and based off of his reliance and the faithfulness of him that promised. If you don't have a reliance and the faithfulness of him that promised, well, Satan is going to eat you alive. It's going to eat you alive. I've told you this numerous times over the years that Yahushua was tempted through his faith, not through lust of the flesh. Your faith is what's going to get tested in the day of the great temptation. That's why we take that time to mention all that stuff with the beast and everything that surrounds that, because that is going to be a trying of your faith, and everybody's not going to be able to stand. So you have to make sure that your faith is rock solid, and that's faithfulness in him that promised, knowing him that promised, what he promised, and who promised it. Verse 10, though, 1 Peter 5:10. But the Elohim of all grace, who have called us unto his eternal esteem by Yahushua HaMashiach, and after you have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, and settle you. To him be esteem and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Let's take a trip back to Psalms 34 and complete this notion. Psalms 34 and 20. He keep all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked. The things that hate the righteous shall be desolate. Yahuwah redeemed the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust him shall be desolate. Now, as we look at he shall keep all his bones, of course, that's Samara, Cole, and Esem. So you know that he's going to guard and observe all of his bones. Well, why is that important that he's going to guard and observe his bones and none of them are broken, which is savar, to break it to pieces? Do y'all have any idea why that's important? As we come over here to Exodus 12 and 46. And after that, John chapter 19. Before I delve into the Ephesians 5 and 30 and the Jeremiah 8. Exodus 12 and 46. I pick it up at 43. And Yahuwah said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof, but every man's servant that is bought for money. When you have circumcised him, then he shall eat thereof. So when you look at that, no stranger. So what do you have to do to make yourself familiar? We kind of talked about this in regards to being creating me a clean heart and renewing me a right ruach. Anybody who's been bought by the blood of the lamb, once they've been circumcised of the heart, then they can partake in the lamb. If they have not done so, they can't partake. You should see that in Ezekiel 44. You brought strangers uncircumcised in flesh and uncircumcised in heart to defile my temple. No one uncircumcised in flesh and heart shall enter into the house of Yahuwah. That's in Ezekiel 44, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be. Nevertheless, a foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. You shall not carry forth out the flesh abroad out of your house, neither shall you break a bone thereof. Again, same words, not to break the bones. Come over here to John 19. John chapter 19. You can pick it up at verse 28. You can pick it up at verse 28. After this, Yahushua, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, say, I thirst. Now there was set a vessel of vinegar. They filled a sponge with vinegar and put it upon hyssop, put it to his mouth. And when Yahushua therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. He bowed his head and gave up the ruach. The Yahudim, therefore, because it was the preparation that the bodies should not remain upon the stake on Shabbat, for that Shabbat was a high day, besought Pilate that the legs might be broken and they might be taken away. Then came the soldiers and brake the legs of the first and of the others which were crucified with him. But when they came to Yahushua and saw that he was dead already, they brake not his legs. But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forthwith there came out blood and water. He that saw it bare record, and his record is true. And he know that he say true, that you might believe. For all things were done that the scripture should be fulfilled. A bone of him shall not be broken. And again, another scripture say, if they shall look on him whom they pierced. Now, here is the question. Why is it important that his bones were not broken? Now, that one there might be a tad bit difficult. So I'm going to understand. But why is it important that his bones are not broken? I give you some time. Oh, no, not in that when they're having a blemish or a defect, though that is correct in this instance, but that's not what we're referring to right here, though. But why is it important that his bones be not broken? No broken bones, no broken bones, no broken bones. If you stumped on this one, I understand. I understand. I ain't even going to be mad at you. You got 40-10. I give you the 41-30. 41-30. You got about 60 seconds. 60 seconds. Nobody? Still got about 50 seconds. You got about 25 seconds. And I can see why both of y'all would say that. But in this instance, that's not what we're gunning for. I would say this one is a tad bit more difficult. It's still going to reference back to something that we talked about previously. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2, then to Luke 24. All those answers are acceptable if I was slanting in a different direction. But I know this one necessarily wouldn't pop out off the top of why the bones cannot be broken. Genesis chapter 2, verse 21. And Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and he closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Now let's go back over here to Luke 24. Luke chapter 24. This, let me make sure at Sim is what we got for bones here. And it is. So remember that, right? That is someone who has experienced the way of the Ruach. You look at bones. He called his wife flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones. Now let's come over here to Luke 24. Anybody who's been around here for a long time know what we finna read. And then I'm going to ask you, do you remember what it means? Luke 24:36. And as they thus spake, Yahushua himself stood in the midst of them and said unto them, Shalom be unto you. But they were terrified and affrighted, and supposed that they had seen a Ruach. And he said unto them, why are you troubled, and why do thoughts arise in your hearts? Behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself, handle me. For a Ruach have not flesh and bones, as you see me have. Now y'all see that, right? We see both instances, flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. Hold on. Let me share you another one. Come over here to 1 Chronicles chapter 10. Let me share another one with you. I want to make sure that this is easy for you to ascertain before I ask this question. Or was it chapter 11? It was chapter 11, excuse me. Chapter 11. 1 Chronicles 11:1. Oh. Then all Yasharal gathered themselves to David unto Hebron, saying, we are your bone and your flesh. What is the importance of the statement of bone and flesh? Keep in mind, we're talking about why his bones could not be broken. We've just read 3 places. We see Yahushua say, a Ruach don't have flesh and bone as you see me have. We see the people came to David and say, we are your flesh and bone. When Adam saw his wife, he said, this is my flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones. We just read in Judges 19 that he cut that woman up in 12 pieces with her flesh, with the bone still in the flesh, unbroken. No bone could be broken of him, according to Psalm 34, which we've seen in John 19. And the law say the Passover lamb's bones cannot be broken in the flesh. So why is it important that his bones cannot be broken? I said, I understand. That was a little bit more difficult. What do y'all believe? Put all those things together. Think on each one. We have 45 minutes. I give you the 46:30. I give you 46:30. Think on all those things. Flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. We are your flesh and bone. A ruach don't have flesh and bone as you see me have. So take those three elements. What do those three things mean individually? Look at all three of them. What could they mean collectively? Then look at each instance of flesh and bone. Flesh inside of the bone of a woman who was cut up to be a witness amongst Yasharal that someone was abused by wicked men. Flesh still in bone. Passover lamb, self-explanatory of what that relates to. Flesh still in bone. Why can the bones not be broken? Now, let's say sacrifice and behold, that would be accurate. But this is just going past that. I'm going past that. Y'all got to focus on what I'm mentioning to you. We creeping up on 46:30. I'm going to give you till 47:30 because I want to see if this is going to click in your brain. You got Adam, saw Eve and said, this is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. The house of Yasharal came to David and said, we are your flesh and bone. We are going to serve you. Yahushua resurrected from the dead and say, what are you scared of? A spirit don't got flesh and bone like you see me have. Then, see, that's the crazy part. See, they got us out here calling, saying flesh and blood. When you see in the text, they always talk about flesh and bone. Then you take this sacrifice of this woman in Judges, bone still in the flesh, unbroken. Passover lamb, bone can't be broken, still in the flesh. I want y'all to think, right? I'm going to see like this. I understand it's a little bit more difficult. But I want to see what you come up with. Y'all got 20 seconds. And then I want to see what y'all can come up with. I need somebody to give me something. I want to see what you come up with. Don't be around here worrying about if it's right or wrong. Let me see what you come up with. And that is exactly correct, sir. That is exactly correct. That is the answer. 1 Corinthians 12 tells you that there's no schism in the body. Because when you have a breakage in the body, you have a separation. When a bone is broken, there's a separation. See, the first thing that came to mind, but I couldn't use that because bone was not there, is your Job 41, that the scales are his pride and no seal, and they're sealed tight and nothing comes in between them. So you got to understand the flesh is symbol of who? The man. The bone is symbolic of the woman because the woman came from the rib. That's why she's the bone. So that's why when you see him say, Ruach don't have flesh and bone. Of course, he's resurrected from the dead. He's telling you about his wife. That he lets you know that he is Adam. Flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone, because we come from him. See, when the people with Yasharal were coming to David, who was king, and they were telling him that we will submit to you, they were letting you know that you are our husband. And we are your wife. So when you have the bones can't be broken because if the bones are broken, then they're separated from the husband. And when they're separated from the husband, then there's going to be a fissure. And when you have a fissure, and again, that's where that comes in at. That is the greatest way see, sinners don't separate you from him, period. But if he can separate you from your husband, you're finished. And the only way that he can separate you from your husband is to cause you to doubt him. Because Mashiach is your husband. So therefore, this is why the bones can't be broken, because Mashiach was never broken or separated from his wife. Come over here to 1 Corinthians 12 specifically of what we're looking at. And also I think we talked about this the other day when we talked about one baptism, one Lord, one Elohim, one faith. No, praise Yahuwah. Now, concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. You know, this is 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. You know that you were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led. Wherefore I've given you to understand that no man speaking by the Ruach Elohim called Yahushua accursed, and that no man can say that Yahushua is Lord, but by the Ruach HaKadosh. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Ruach. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. There are diversities of operations, but it's the same Elohim which work all in all. The manifestation of the Ruach is given to every man to profit with all, taking us back to he is acquainted with your ways, that you are of use of service to him. Continuing on. For to one is given by the Ruach the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge, the same Ruach, to another faith by the same Ruach, to another gifts of healing by the same Ruach, to another working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of Ruachs, to another kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. But all these work that one and self-same Ruach, dividing to every man severally as he will. For as the body is one and have many members, and all the members of that one body being many are one body, so also is Mashiach. Notice that he mentioned members. Remember when we read that Psalm, it also meant bone or members. Let me get that for you again in case you forgot. Bone or members. Right there, members, external body, limbs. That's why the bones can't be broken, because he didn't came to destroy man's lives, he came to save man's lives. So in the breaking of the bones, that would have been symbolic of the destroying of man, or the destroying of his wife, or the destroying of his body. He did not come to destroy his body. He came to renew or to repair his body. And he performed that through the offering, and then solidified it through the resurrection, and confirmed it through the giving of the Ruach HaKodesh. It goes back to he has scattered his ways, or his manner of life, or his character, and his lying down, the dispersing of the gospel itself. That's why it has to be spread. Well, I've always told you that for years, that you always must champion the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, irregardless of opposition, irregardless of who wants to accept it or who does not want to accept it. Because this is I'm not going to force you to accept anything. I'm going to persuade you to the sides of righteousness, but nevertheless, his praises are going to be in my mouth, because I'm going to extol him at every opportunity. I don't care if you don't like it or believe it. That's a personal problem for you. Now, if you reject it, I will calmly go about my way. I care not. Prayerfully, he turn you from opposing yourself, but if not, may you perish. Because you deemed yourself unworthy of salvation. Who am I to argue with you? For by one Ruach we are all immersed into one body, whether it be we Yahudim or Gentiles, or whether it be bond or free, we have been all made to drink in one Ruach. And that's why it's mentioned by why Eve is called the mother of all living, because whether Jew or Gentile, you come from her. There's no disputing that. There's no disputing that. Come on, look at it so you can see that she's the mother of all living, and how that's showing you that that's the Ruach, and you all come from that one body. See, they ain't gonna like that. Genesis chapter 3. (3 and 20). Straight to the point. No need for extras. Unto Adam also, unto his wife did Yahuwah make, and Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Now, just on general principle, you have for Eve, of course, you know, Kat, Hey. So what have we been able to see here, a nail here, that we have been separated by the nailing of the man, or the sacrificing of the man with raised arms. That's why you're able to have life and to live. And that woman came from man. So therefore, those bones cannot be broken. You break the bones, you break the woman. You break the woman, you break Yasharal. You do that, who can stand before him? That's why he does not mark iniquities, that forgiveness may be with him, that he might be reverenced. But let's take a look at Jeremiah 8, which was offered. Let me do Ephesians 5 and 30, because that'll be swifter. You did drop that, and you were correct, Civic. Let's take a look at that as well. The passage itself didn't come to mind, but you were correct, sir. 5:28. Now, it was just you were looking for the bone breakage, but that wasn't the one for the memphis of the bone. But for this last point that we just got all the way through, that would be correct. Had to remember why you put that up there. You put that up there for the Exodus 12:46. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that love his wife, love himself. Therefore, Elohim so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. And as I mentioned before, he did not send his son to condemn the world, but to save the world. He loved his own body. That's why his bones weren't broken. Remember, that's the shadow, to break into pieces. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourished it, which he knows to bring it to maturity, and cherish it, even as the Lord of the body. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Mashiach and the body. Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. See those two elements. And of course, you know, it's many a podcast, many a conversation. I seen some old cornball nigga talking crazy stuff about, you know, black men are the worst men on the earth and this, that, and the third. But you know where all that stuff come from, though? Stuff I told you about before. And I had to tell the homie to say, and that's that red pill rage. But it ain't really no such thing as red pill rage. I ain't never believed nobody had no rage against no another person. You're really upset with yourself. And you would just rather transfer your feeling, how you feel about yourself, onto another person. And that's a personal problem. Seek help. You know what I'm talking about? And you got nigga, they mad with women. Mad with them for what? You know what I'm saying? I heard bro say this the other day, which is the truth. I ain't never had to take no red pill because the type of stuff that dudes say that women do, I never saw that. Nobody ever told me that women behave like that. And the young women around my way certainly didn't behave like that. You know what I'm saying? These girls was freaking off young. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas seeing these chicks messing with the dope boys young. So this thought process that women behaved and did certain things, that wasn't my reality. I didn't see that. I had enough sense to know, even if the chick, man, I know you getting ran through in the neighborhood, but because we grew up together and you like me, you want to act like a lady in my presence, and you think I'm supposed to be stupid enough to go for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, we sitting back knowing, man, these girls getting jackhammered, man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody stupid enough to go for this, man. Like straight up and down. So there's not no situation you get older and now you mad with women. You got all this rage because you got played and used a jackass. There's something wrong with you, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's why they do sit around and it sound like they just hate women so profusely. See, it's certain things, man, that you just have to understand. It just is what it is. Certain things, it just is what it is. A woman is just how she is, and that's just what it's going to be. Ain't nothing to be upset about. Ain't nothing to be angry about. That's why I told you a long time ago. That's why the niggas' information gets stale and repetitive. Junk get, after a while, just listening to it, you find some manner of entertainment out of the deal, or it's just for background noise, for that matter, because that junk get old, man. Anybody trying to hear all that? A bunch of grown niggas mad with women all day. Only niggas who talking like that, niggas who couldn't get no women or wasn't getting no money. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had no time to be worrying about getting mad with no women. I'm trying to get some money, man. I ain't straight up and down trying to better my situation. So then you come in the word, you see the same thing with Hebrew dudes in the word. They come in the word, they wanted wives. But these niggas is lame. And they squares. And they ain't got certain things in order. And they picking scallywags and scut buckets. You know what I'm talking about? And then get mad when these women behave in the fashion that you should have already known that they were going to behave in. You know what I'm talking about? I ain't talking about shot like, oh man, this person walked away from the word. Like, boy, you knew that was a scallywag. Boy, she's doing scallywag things. You shot. Well, this dude's here like, hey man, these chicks around here taking their kids and dipping and doing all that type of stuff. But you already knew that. Because this is something that I learned at an early age, which every man should know. A woman is going to do whatever her man is doing. If that woman is enamored with you and you a Muslim, she probably going to be a Muslim too. She'll be whatever it is that you own if she like you that much. You know what I'm saying? And dudes be grabbing chicks, man, and then you be shocked when they do that. That woman wasn't never on that, bro. That woman wants somebody to take care of her, man. You got grown men. We didn't talk about this. You got grown men mad because women want to be taken care of. Nigga, what the hell do you think they want? That nigga, what's wrong with you? Man, all these women just want this here. Like they said, man, if you don't want to, if you don't want to take care of a woman, just don't do it. Ain't no sense of crying about it. Just don't do it. But this is the pure view. I'm just telling you, man, I be taking all type of stuff in, man. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to understand people's perspectives, how they thinking, how they viewing the world. Boy, they look at you niggas as worse as yesterday's trash, man. You know what I'm saying? I already knew that. But that junk bad, man. That junk bad, man. And the saddest part out the whole play with all these niggas, man, and they don't offer nobody no solution for nothing. For the most part. Their solution is level up. Nigga, what does that even mean? Do you know what I'm saying? What does that even mean? What fundamental information can you give to an individual that can help satisfy a quandary that he faced with in his life? You don't have any of that information. You don't even care to offer that information. But you have to remember, these people trying to get clicks, man. These people trying to make money, man. I seen the dude show his YouTube analytics the other day, man. This man ain't even got 100,000 subscribers, man, making $20,000 a month. So just imagine when you have more subscribers, these men have to be sensational. They have to come with all this type of stuff to cater to lame, square, buster, simp, sucker niggas in order to eat because they eating good. They eating good. You understand how much money that is, man? 20 to 30 to 40 to $50,000 a month, 60. You wondering how people eating on YouTube? They eating a lot because boy, it's a lot of lame dudes out here, man. They ain't got no daddies. They ain't got no direction. They ain't got nothing. That's why dudes flock to the word like that, and that's when they flock away because it's a lot of misguided and rudderless young men out here. You know what I'm talking about? And dudes know it and they prey on them, selling them all type of courses and consultations of pure and unadulterated balderdash, if you would, pure nonsense. But see, by the grace of Yahushua, so you know, praise Elohim, you young men have something that can't even be quantitative or nothing on this fleshly realm. You have the word of Yahuwah, which means as long as you believe and obey, you have access to the Ruach of Yahuwah. And when you have that, you have the ability to be able to maintain, endure, and to solve any manner or issue that can arise in life if you just lean upon his mighty and Kadash name. That's it. Remember, as it told you in 1 John chapter 4, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. You have to understand that you have something that they do not have. Remember in Deuteronomy 18, he told you ain't have to seek to divination and all that other stuff. Yahuwah has not suffered you to do so because you have him. You don't have to do any of that. You ain't got to pray to no ancestors. You ain't got to light no Palo Santo. You ain't got to burn no sage. You ain't got to go do no moon charts. You ain't got to do none of that. You got him. See, many of the people who were in the word who did it, they never believed in him, so they never had access to him. See, people think you're supposed to have the access just because you're there. See, if you don't have the trust, then you're not going to get the access. See, that's what people's problem is. You want access without doing the things that make yourself worthy to be accessible to someone who is greater than you. And Yahuwah is greater than you. Yahushua is greater than you. So how do you expect to have access when you're not doing the things necessary to get the access? You feel like you deserve it just because you're in their presence. You feel like you deserve it just because you've done ABC. You haven't done things to justify having that level of access. See, the Ruach HaKadosh is the access. And if you don't believe in him, then you're not going to get that level of access. Keeping Sabbaths don't get you that access. Not eating pork don't get you that access. Don't let these cornball Hebrew niggas tell you that, because these Hebrew niggas about bad as these red pill rage niggas, man. All the niggas trash, truth be told, for the most part. And when I say trash, I'm talking about useless. You cannot get the access to this man if you don't believe in him. Remember, he said, these are children in whom have no faith. These sons don't even believe in me. They don't even know that I'm faithful. They don't even trust and believe that I'm faithful. They have no hope of expectation of receiving anything from me. Why would I allow them to have access to me? See, that's the same way that a man is supposed to approach a woman. If this woman does not trust in what you got going on and the vision that you have laid out, then why would you allow her to have access to you? She is not worthy of having access to you. You don't need to show yourself worthy to have access to her vagina. Nigga, that is insane. That is insane. That makes no sense. Access to the vagina does not equal the access that she's going to have to you. And most women do the same things that most men do in dealing with Yahuwah. You do not appreciate that access until you no longer have it. Because that is what most men do to Yahuwah. You do not appreciate the access you had to Yahuwah until you no longer have it. That's what you're going to see when these men reject this man and be offended in him. And then they no longer will have access to him. And then when they're being tormented because they bowed down to the mark, or took the mark, or bowed down to the image of the beast, and then they'll find out that there is no more access to Elohim. Or even if before the beast even arises, if they bow the knee to Baal, there's no more access to Elohim for you. Don't let these people fool you, man, acting like they all happy and joyful. And this, that, then the third. The only people who can lay down and be happy and joyful all the way out of somebody who is completely reprobate. But anybody who at any given time has the opportunity and the good mercies of Elohim to ever hear the goodness of the speech of Yahushua HaMashiach and turn their back from it when ain't nobody looking and it's real quiet, they soul weep because they know they're going to hell. And they try to make themselves feel better with false platitudes of pleasure and debauchery and hedonism and alcohol and drugs and things of that nature. But it don't fill the void because they know deep down in their soul they're going to hell because they knew that word was true. But they couldn't humble themselves unto it, so they rejected it for pleasure. Nevertheless, Jeremiah chapter 8 and verse 1. Jeremiah 8 and 1. At that time, saith Yahuwah, they shall bring out the bones of the maliks of Yehudah, the bones of his princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves. They shall spread them upon before the sun and the moon, and all the hosts of Shamahim, whom they have loved, and whom they have served, after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered nor be buried. They shall be dung upon the face of the earth. And death shall be chosen rather than life by all the residue of them, of this evil family, which remain in the places whither I have driven them, saith Yahuwah of hosts. Moreover, shall you say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah, shall they fall and not arise? Shall he turn away and not return? Why is this people of Jerusalem slidden back by perpetual backsliding? They hold fast deceit. They refuse to return. I hearkened and heard, but they spake not aright. No man repented to him of his wickedness, saying, what have I done? Everyone turned to his course as the horse rushed into the battle. They, the stork of the heaven, know her appointed times, and the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. But my people know not the judgment of Yahuwah. Now, the beginning of this passage is dealing with the fact of, since your kings wanted to worship other gods under heaven, I'm going to take all their bones out and leave them out there so they can sit out there and be as dung upon the earth so that they can continue to worship the gods that they've been worshiping. And that could be a sign that you people see all of these things in your face and you still don't know that you ought to return. But let's continue. He said, how do you say that you are wise? And the law of Yahuwah is with us, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribes is in vain. See, you had a smarty art niggas read this verse. See, the law of Yahuwah is vain. No, he didn't say that. He said, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribes is in vain. These niggas is useless. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Don't let these people make no fool out you, man, because that's what they be trying to do. But he said, let's look at it. Lo, certainly, this is truly and indeed a Cain. So truly and indeed, that's what he said. He made it. You got Hene, which is behold. So truly, behold. Then we have Sakar or Shakur, which is what? Falsehood, in vain. False oath, swear falsely, deceit, fraud, wrong. So what does he tell you? Lo, certainly falsehood made he it. The pen of the scribes is falsehood. Now, taking that into account. Also, it means disappointment. Taking this into account. He says, certainly vain made he it, or lies made he it. See, this should get you in the brain of when he sent the lying spirit, the Ahab, to deceive all his prophets. He's letting you know that he sent the falsehood to the scribes to deceive them. And why did he seek to deceive them? Because they did not believe. Turn your reprobate is what he's telling you. Listen to the next thing he tell you. The wise men are ashamed. They are dismayed and taken. Lo, they have rejected the word of Yahuwah. What wisdom is in them? And verse 9 confirms that. If they've rejected the word of Yahuwah, what is it? What, they ain't got nothing in them. I seen people getting all credit to my Kanye album, So Spiritual. Nigga couldn't pay me no money to listen to that album, man. I wouldn't dare. And there's a lot of albums like this here, man. We all know they be praying unclean spirits in that. But just seeing that clip, you got a church house and you brought Marilyn Manson out there with you, man. And then somebody had shared a clip where this nigga was chanting his mama name like 52 times, 58 times to sound like a heartbeat. I'm good on that, my G. I don't hear nothing that nigga talking about, man. Ain't no telling what type of spirits you'll let loose in your circumference. You put that album on, man. That nigga on some other stuff, man. For a nigga to sit around and chant his mama name 58 times to sound like a heartbeat, well, that nigga on some whole other type of time. And that's the type of time I don't want to look at. I don't want that clock. I don't want that watch. I'm good on that. That's a hard pass. I don't want it. Ain't nothing in that I'm going to enjoy. I'll pass. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's some weirdo stuff, man. Nigga borderline idolizing his mama on that junk, man. You have to be careful with that type of junk, man. Because they don't tell him what type of junk he trying to slide. Nigga think that nigga crazy. That nigga ain't crazy. That nigga know full well what he doing. I seen somebody say he's a creative genius. Nigga ain't a genius chanting his mama name 58 times to sound like a heartbeat. Nigga, that's weird. That's weird. That's when he sacrificed his mama. I don't know what he did. You know what I'm talking about? But I know this here. That was weird. And I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good on that, nigga. That's weird. Nigga talking about it's like a gospel album. Oh, I'm good on that. I'm good on that because I don't know what God he worshiping. At least when you listen to most secular music, you know what God they worshiping. So you know they worshiping Satan. So you good. You have to watch for the niggas who try to mix it. Try to conflate and conflate the two. You don't want to do with that. Weirdo stuff, man. I'm telling you. Everybody in the uproar because you seen your man's pregnant. You know that nigga weird. You know that nigga want to be a woman. That nigga ain't even weird. That nigga know that junk bother people. Because the nigga's already said this out his mouth. That he do the stuff that he doing because Christian people, he was telling them he was going to hell for being a sissy. So the nigga say he do stuff like this here because he know it bother people. See, if you know the word, that shouldn't bother you. It affects your spirit. Like, boy, these niggas evil. But you ain't finna like, oh, why they doing that? Shoot, this your sinful kingdom, nigga. Sin on. You know what I'm talking about? Sin on, nigga. You declare like your sin like Sodom. You not ashamed. Well, it's not going to be well with you, brother. And I'm going to keep it moving. Nigga, if you thought that was going to get me up, you got to catch yourself. If you a man and you say you in the word and everything these people do, it doesn't vex you as far as God, these people wicked made you who are render judgment on this ungodly place. But now you getting emotional and all upset, nigga, you acting like a hoe. Nigga, you supposed to already know these niggas evil. Nigga, what do you expect from evil people? You expect righteousness from unrighteous nigga? Is you stupid? Is you dumb? What are you expecting people to do? This nigga was dancing butt naked in a shower with men. This nigga gave a lap dance to the devil. You already know this nigga a weirdo. If this nigga wanted to give a dance to the devil, nigga pop locking his booty hole on the devil, nigga, you's a weirdo. Nigga, ain't nothing you can do bother me. Nigga, you need help. And I don't even know if the Lord want to help you, boy. There's something wrong with you. Somebody say, what's wrong with that? They say, dude, say, man, it's poison in the minds of the churn. That nigga say, how? The fact that a nigga had to say, how is that poison in the minds of the church? But see, where you know where that come from? Why you let your children watch this stuff unencumbered? See, because the issue ain't what they looking at. It's what you telling them before they see that. Because if you're giving them good education, when they see that, they'll be offended just like you would be offended. But if you ain't giving them no good education when they see that, then they be like, hey, man, shoot, butt naked niggas in the shower dancing. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Let me get with my friends and see if we can do some dances like that. Maybe not butt naked in the shower, but doing stuff that you come in here that you wouldn't agree with. And guess what? That's your fault, nigga. If your son get influenced by a sissy nigga like that, that's your fault, man. That means you ain't gave him the proper instructions to be able to combat that, even if you wasn't in the word. And I ain't got to wait to see him on TV and say, son, see, that's a weirdo. No, he should already know that's weirdo stuff before he even see this punk nigga, man. One thing I can tell you, man, you got to know how to jab wisdom and understanding into turn real quick. You have to sit back and look at everything they do, no matter how minute you think it is, and always look at it. That could be an opportunity to drop some jewels on them, boy, and you shouldn't neglect them. Opportunities where you think you should spaz out and yell at them and pop them, that'd be the time where you could drop a jewel on them. By maintaining frame, maintaining calm, and look at them and say, come here, let me tell you something, man. Let me put some game in your ear. Let me cause you to understand why you shouldn't behave in this fashion when faced with this situation. Let me tell you why that's not that right there. That's not what we do. Because they're better served and stick with them. See, we say again, we always say that nigga stuff, and then I'm saying, you talk about them beatings and your people beat you and you came out well, but at the end of the day, man, the beatings don't stick. You know what I'm saying? The wisdom that you got to give, that will stick. That can stick for generations. Cause you to stay. I told you this before, cause you to be here long after you're gone. Yahusha been gone. His wisdom is still here because his teachings are still here. One thing you got to do is if you're going to reprove, you have to let them know why they're being reproved and what they're being reproved for. If you just reproving and snapping and going off, you're ineffective in your administration of education. I mean, you're just reacting off emotion because you're upset. If you're going to reprove a child, you need to tell them why they're being reproved and what they're being reproved for. That's where understanding come in at. Then they won't look at you as an a-hole and a douche who they're going to tune out as they get older because they know that you only take off on them because you're upset. They're not going to hold your words in high regard because you haven't given them any words. And you know that's not how Yahuwah raises. How Yahuwah teaches, he reproves, and he's telling you why he's reproving you and what he's reproving you for. So if you want to look, I told you, people always say, man, there's no manual on being a parent. That is a lie from hell. The word is a manual on how to, all you got to do is look at how Yahuwah raised. That's it. Pay attention to him. He'll show you how to be a father. He'll show you how to be a mother. People say ain't no manual for being no husband and wife. That's a lie. The man done showed you what to do. You just choose not to follow it. For whatever reason, you just choose not to follow it. You feel like those precepts and standards are not sufficient enough. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing wrong with looking at a child in the face and say, son, these are the rules of the house. And if you don't want to abide by the rules of the house, that is fine, but you cannot dwell here. because we will not allow a flaunt and wanton disregard of the precepts of this house. Is this not what Yahuwah told you when he brought you in the land and said, these are the rules of this land? And if you don't follow the rules of this land, I will thrust you out. Is that not what he did? Did not every time Yasharal got out of pocket, did he not come and tell them exactly what he was correcting them for and why? He told them that. Oh, I'm coming upside your head because of this here. I'm doing this here because of this here. Oh, you remember when y'all did this right here? I told you I was going to reprove you for that. And this is your rebuke for this right here. That's how you get engender respect. But returning back to Psalms 139, if you would. What we're talking about, it takes a high level, a spiritual acumen to consistently and constantly not allow your emotions to dictate how you respond. Psalms 139. Because we got other stuff to hit on. The scattering of his ways and his lying down, you who are willing to get focused on a little bit more on tomorrow, just based off the time period we at. We need to grab a few more verses up out of here. We're in verse 4 of Psalms 139. For there's not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Yahuwah, you know it all together. I think I read this already. I see like it here, right? When it says, for there is not, like that there is, isn't there. It's basically, there's a word in my tongue. There's a word, there's an utterance. And Yahuwah know it all together. That's what it said. There's a word in my mouth. Remember, Yahushua said, I can only speak what my Father has commanded me to speak. I know his commandment is life everlasting. And see, why is this going about? Because he has scattered his way of living, his moral character. He has scattered his lying down, and he is acquainted that his ways are of service to him. And because his ways are of service to him, there's a word in his tongue, and Yahuwah knows it. See, come over here to John chapter 10 real fast, just for the statement from the Lord. Just a quick statement from the Lord. We pick it up in 10 and 34. Get straight to the point. Yahushua answered them, it is not written in your law, I said you are gods. If he called them gods, under whom the word of Elohim came, the scripture cannot be broken. Say of him whom Abba hath sanctified and sent into the world, you blaspheme, because I say I am the son of Elohim. If I do not the works of my Abba, believe not me. But if I do, though you believe not me, believe the works, that you may know and believe that Abba is in me and I in him. Now I'm mentioning this here because he has given them a word. There was a word in his mouth, and Yahuwah knew it, that he was the son of Elohim. Now come over here to John chapter 8. And we're just going to keep it brief, get straight to the point of 8 and 46. He said, which of you convinced me of a sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. You therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elohim. Now, you remember a little further over in this here, right, in this chapter, a little backwards, he told them, if you don't believe that I am he, you shall die in your sins. But this is the thing. Another song tell you, I believe, therefore I have spoken. And also, I'm thinking about also this John 3, what we read that the other day, where he said, for whom Elohim sent, speak the words of Elohim. He said, and you who have known all together, we know that the Father put that word in Yahushua's mouth. And no man can have the word in their mouth unless Yahuwah place it there. Which takes us back to Isaiah 59 and 21. Do y'all remember Isaiah 59 and 21? I used to read Isaiah 59 and 21 a lot because it resonated with me. I'll read it to you again. You could pick it up at 20, Isaiah 59 and 20. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahuwah. As for me, this is my covenant with them, saith Yahuwah. My ruach that is upon you, and my words which I have put in your mouth, shall not depart out of the mouth of your seed. Depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed, saith Yahuwah, from henceforth and forever. So you got to understand something. The Father put that word in the Son's mouth, and the Son put that word in the mouth of his offspring. Can't nobody have that word in their mouth unless he place it there. And you should be able to tell at this point of your career, for lack of a better term, you know what I'm saying? After this part along of being in the game, you should be able to discern and ascertain if somebody put the word in somebody's mouth. And when I say if somebody, meaning that they put it there, that Satan put it there, or Yahuwah put it there. Let me ask y'all this question. How would you be able to know the difference between the three? How would you know the difference between if a man put the word in his mouth, if Satan put the word in his mouth, or if Yahuwah put the word in his mouth? And scriptural or epistle letter answers are preferred because there are answers for all three. Now, y'all should be able to help me out on this one here. Y'all should be able to do it. I got confidence in you. Well, I know y'all got something for me, man. I know y'all got something for me. What would you answer for the three? Y'all ain't got nothing for me, man. I know somebody got something. How would you be able to tell if a man put it there, Yahuwah put it there, or the adversary put it there? There's got Jeremiah 23. That is acceptable. But for which one, though? Which one are you using that for? Which one are you using that for? That is the question. What are you using Jeremiah 23 for in one of those three? Oh, man, this is an easy one. Y'all should be able to knock this out of the box, man. Real easy, like. I pick it up at Jeremiah chapter. No, I'm saying which one of the three are you using? Which one? That Yahuwah put it there, that the man put it there, or that the adversary put it there? 23. And 16. 23 and 14. Jeremiah 23 and 14. I've seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem a horrible thing. They commit adultery, they walk in lies, they strengthen also the hand of evildoers, that none do return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom and the inhabitants thereof of Gomorrah. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth into all the land. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart and not of the mouth of Yahuwah. So let's say We can hit all like this here. Number one, we just read one, same passage, because he's using it for a different one. That man did that. Man right here put that word in his mouth. That man came up with that on his own. Let's continue. They say still unto them that despise me, Yahuwah have said, you shall have shalom. They say it to everyone that walk after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. Hananiah should also came to mind. That's another instance of a man. You came up with that on your own. Deuteronomy 13 is a duel. Man gave a prophecy, it don't come to pass. You know that coming to pass with the a work of miracle or speak of prophecy. That can be of the devil or that could be of themselves. Nevertheless, for who have stood in the counsel of Yahuwah and have perceived and heard his word, who have marked his word and heard it. Behold, a whirlwind of Yahuwah is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall grievously fall upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahuwah shall not return, until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it perfectly. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they stood in my counsel and caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from their evil doings. That's one of the first elements that you would know that man ain't come up, that Yahuwah ain't give that person no word. If he ain't willing to let that be known, then he ain't gave him no word. Look what he told him. Am I Elohim at hand, saith Yahuwah, and not an Elohim afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, saith Yahuwah? Do I not feel Shamahim and a rat, saith Yahuwah? I've heard what the prophets say, that prophecy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. But if you hear somebody say that's Martin Luther King, boy, you punch that nigga dead in his face and you tell him, you stupid bastard, stop lying on that man. You know how stupid you got to be to say, see, that's Martin Luther King right there. Get out of here, man. Because in that man's speech, he wasn't even talking about the Lord. That was all political and philosophical rhetoric of his own mind, or whoever wrote the speech. Because I don't know if he wrote that speech. You know, them people be having speech writers. That man ain't tell you to go serve no other God when he was giving that speech. Y'all do know that, right? When he gave that I have a dream speech, this man was talking about integrating with a different group of people. That man wasn't telling nobody to go serve no other God. That wasn't what that man was doing. Niggas repeat it too. It's sad. See, some people like, man, why you got to talk about the brothers like that? You part of the problem, nigga. But you gonna condone that. Don't condone that. Don't stamp that. Don't get that no pass. You a man. Stand up, be a man, bro. Y'all wrong. Stop telling people that. If you don't like Martin Luther King, that's your business. If you ain't agree with his rhetoric, that's your business. But stop telling people Jeremiah 23 talking about that man. That wasn't talking about that man. That man said he had dreams of little black boys and little white boys holding hands. Where they wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. They didn't tell you, I have a dream that you need to go worship Baal instead of Yahuwah. That is not what that man said. I have heard what the prophets, this is Jeremiah 23 and 25, have said that prophecy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophecy lies? Yea, they are prophets of deceit of their own heart, which think to cause my people to forget by name by their dreams, which tell every man to his neighbor as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. The prophet that have dreamed a dream, let him tell a dream. He that have my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is chaff to the wheat, saith Yahuwah? Is not my word like as a fire, saith Yahuwah, and a hammer that break the rock in pieces? For behold, I am against the prophet, saith Yahuwah, that steal my words, every man from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophet, saith Yahuwah, that use their tongues and say he say. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith Yahuwah, and do tell them and cause my people to err by their lies, and by their likeness I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith Yahuwah. You will have to look at that. He said if he ain't giving that word and he ain't son them, they're not going to be a prophet to anyone who they come across. Not as forth as what Yahuwah deems to be profitable. John chapter 16. After that, 2 Corinthians chapter 12. 16 and 13. He said, howbeit, when he, the Ruach of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. He shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. He shall esteem me, for he shall receive of mine and show it unto you. All things that Abba have are mine. Therefore said I, that he shall take of mine, and he shall show it unto you. See, that coincides also with John 14. Of course, you know, he told you that the Comforter will bring back, or the Ruach HaKodesh, the things that he have taught to you to remember. But he also said that if you love me, keep my commandments, and I will give you a Comforter, even the Ruach of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither know him not, nor has seen him. So individuals who live outside of it, again, this is access. See, if you have not believed, Elohim is not going to give you access to his word, because if you have not believed, you haven't taken hold of his covenant. So therefore you wouldn't be born of him. So therefore he couldn't put his ruach on you and put his words in your mouth. But here's one for Satan, because we can't leave the punk bastard out. Now, can we? We could, but we not. 2 Corinthians 11. I'm going to pick it up at verse 3. I said 1 Corinthians 11. I'm incorrect. I meant to say 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. I gave you time to get on over there. I meant to say 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. I'll look at it in a second. I'm gonna tell you something, man. It take a while. You got to find y'all the right ones, man. But as y'all get older, man, get you some fragrance. Off the top, what is it? Not as strong, with some oud in it, man. Yeah, that's what I had on earlier today. This guy, it can be skanky, but I'm telling you, if it's done right, oud is absolutely magnificent. It's a tree branch. It's absolutely magnificent when it's done correctly. 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. But I fear lest by any means as a serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety. Oh, there's 3 instances. Somebody has the word. Either they're speaking the word out of their own heart, which means they came up with it. Satan gave it to them. Or Yahuwah gave it to them. An individual should be able to discern if, okay, Satan gave them that word, they came up with that out of their own heart, or Yahuwah gave it to them. And then you have a wild card, which I did not mention. And that wild card is somebody who knows the word, but uses the word to exploit people for their own gain, whatever that gain would be. Because the word could be correct, but they could wield it as a weapon. Or as Peter put it, not to lord over the Lord's inheritance. That does happen. And, you know, it is what it is. 2 Corinthians 11 and 3. But I fear lest by any means as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Mashiach. For if he that come preach another Yahushua whom we have not preached, or if you receive another Ruach whom you have not received, or another gospel which you have not accepted, you might bear well with him. See, that goes back to what I told you before. He's seeking to cause you to doubt. If I can preach you another God, that means you'll disobey, but most importantly, not believe the previous report that you had been given. See, if they come preaching another Yahushua, that's not the gospel I received. That's not the gospel I've accepted. I got to reject that. That's to protect you from the beast. You got to pay attention to that. See, these stupid Hebrew niggas come at you and tell you that's the Christian church. Well, that's not another Jesus, boy. That's somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's not even, you haven't heard the original. See, they come and tell you the black man who came to swell the 12 tribe. No. That's just a convoluted misinterpretation of the word. See, that's a lack of understanding of what they possess versus preaching another one, telling you to look upon someone totally different. They have a lack of understanding of the correct individual they're telling you to look upon. They just don't have a proper understanding. That's a drastic difference. Drastic difference than preaching another man. See, they'll look at it, the story is such and such, and all that's true. But when you get in there and you deal with most of these people in this church fundamentally, and you strip off the stuff that everybody like to argue about, which is Christmas and Easter, they're telling you that this man died and resurrected from the dead. They just don't understand the text. Fundamentally, that's what they're telling you. They're telling you that he's the Son of God, that he died, and that he rose again for your sins. They just don't have a proper understanding of him. They're not preaching another Jesus to you. They're not preaching another Yahushua to you. They're not telling you that somebody else came and did what he did. You're convoluting that because they have pagan practices intertwined with what they have going on. That's a totally different thing, because you have quote unquote Christian churches that don't celebrate Christmas and Easter. Now what you gonna say? And they got the same doctrine that them people hold, just minus the holidays. Jehovah's Witnesses fundamentally hold the same doctrine that most Christians hold, until you start getting into the elements of what Charles Taz Russell sprinkled in there. You know what I'm saying? He sprinkled his little sauce in there. I forget the lady with the 7-day Adventists. They hold the same doctrine that most Christians hold, just a little bit of sprinkle. Catholics the only one who say Christians got something totally different from the text, that they don't really deal with the text like that. When you sit back and you pay attention to what Catholics got going on, they don't deal with the word like that. They deal with the whole other stuff they got going on. If you just stop, take your emotions out to play and pay attention to what they're doing. When you pay attention to Mormons don't deal with the word like that. They got their own stuff going on. See, Muhammad could be an example of preaching another Jesus, but they just don't say that he was a redeemer. See, when you're talking about preaching another Jesus, preaching another Yahushua, you're talking about preaching another redeemer. You're talking about somebody who's saying that they're a redeemer. Remember, he said the redeemer shall come to Zion, and everyone that turned from sin out of Jacob. So that's how you're supposed to know the difference, because the whole house of Yasharal knew that a redeemer was coming. They just didn't know that Yahushua was the redeemer. So if somebody's preaching you another Yahushua, another Jesus, you're talking about somebody preaching you another redeemer. And the beast is coming through acting like he's a redeemer. You gotta pay attention to that, man. See, we're supposed to be more skillful for that after a while of being in the word, man. Niggas read the word all day long, still stupid as all outdoors. That's why he said, man, them the blind leading the blind. Leave the people alone. He's stupid, they stupid for following them, all of them stupid. And he said, let them stay stupid together. He didn't say you got to wake your people up. He said, man, let them people stay stupid together. That's exactly what he told them. They blind leaders of the blind. And if they both be blind, they're going to fall in the ditch. He said, let them be stupid together. If they stupid enough to listen to them, then they stupid enough to receive what they going to get, because you got to be stupid to listen to this stupid nigga right here. But you got to realize, boy, who is a man? That's how he look at it, like, boy, you really stupid enough to go for that? Ask yourself this question. Come over here to Luke. Let me finish where I'm at. I'm sorry. Ask yourself this question, right? You study the word regularly, consistently. You say you meditate on the text. You meditate on his name. All of these things, you understand? And then you fall for a nigga who lying and stupid. That's when you have to sit back and look at yourself. What was you really studying for? Were you studying so that you could know him and that you could gain access, or were you studying for another reason? Only you can answer that question. I can't give no answers to this. I'm not even seeking to give no answers to this. You understand? I ain't even seeking to do that. That's not even my objective, to speak for anyone or to speculate or to come in with any type of conjunction on anybody's thought process. All I'm just saying is ask yourself. You may not even fall into that category. So this may not even pertain to you. But just ask yourself. If you can even look at it theoretically, hypothetically, whatever the case may be. You study the text regularly, consistently. You meditate on the words. You think about all this stuff and then fall for somebody who's stupid. Like you went for that? Now, see, it's different if you wasn't studying like that. Then I can see why you could go for that. Because you didn't know no better. But if you say that you were a vanguard, a regular divider of the text, and you fell for some folly, how well was you dividing that thing, man? Let me move on, man, because it's 11 o'clock. Verse 5, if you would. For I suppose I was not wit behind the very chief apostles. For though I be rude in speech, yet not in knowledge, but we have been thoroughly made manifest among you in all things. I have committed offense in abasing myself that you might be exalted, because I preach to you the gospel of Elohim freely. Now look at what he said. He said, I've committed an offense by lowering myself that you might be exalted. That same thing happened with Yahushua. He committed an offense of blasphemy because he lowered himself in becoming a man, being born of a woman, so that you might be exalted and be called the sons and daughters of Elohim. And that was an offense. And he gave you that word freely. Freely you have given, freely you have received, freely you give. That's on the healing tip. Because the gospel is supposed to come free of charge. See, a lot of people look at that. See, that's why them boys ain't supposed to be tithe. See, that's a whole nother thing. Tithing ain't got nothing to do with none of that. Offerings ain't got nothing to do with none of that. See, the problem coming at it when you're greedy or filthy lucre and you say, okay, I will divine for money, like Micah told you about them boys was out there doing. Or like Samuel's sons was doing, judging for money. See, that's a whole nother thing. You're supposed to drop that word and slide. Now, if you look and sit back and look at, remember, the laborer is worthy of his meat. So if you looked at somebody who was doing that type of service and you didn't feel like you were compelled to show any type of honor to that individual, that just speaks to what type of person you are. That's all that does. Because the text show you that. We done talk about that numerous times. And I don't take this like nobody asking you for a Russian nickel, because ain't nobody asking you for nothing. What I'm telling you is to understand the mindset of individuals in this text and how they viewed men who did this man's service, especially when you consider it that he said that I am acquainted with your ways. That means you are of service unto me and the way that you go. You can be of use to me. And if an individual can be of use to Elohim, that means he's going to be of use to everyone whom he comes across. And this is why Mashiach say the laborer is worthy of his hire, because this man is being of service in his ways unto others. And you mean that's why Paul say, you think it's a light thing that I've sown unto you spiritual things that I reap under your carnal things? And he's like, nigga, is you serious? This is why all this stuff is tied into this here, right? Because at the end of the day, as Paul mentioned this in Hebrews, or who they ascribe to write in Hebrews, that you make sure that you don't grieve the people who got to serve you. Because if you do, that's not going to be profitable for you. And you can see that at the times when it wasn't profitable to the people every time they grieved Moses' ruach with their actions. That wasn't profitable because now he's snapping, he's hot, he's vexed. He's operating in a different fashion. That's not profitable to the people. Why would you do things to somebody who got to serve you to make them not want to do it? It doesn't make any sense. That's why you see that in Mark when he looked on the people and he was angered because of the hardness of their hearts. When you sitting there looking at it, it does not make you, that doesn't compel you, that doesn't incline you to want to do anything for them. And this is another reason why people walk away from Yahuwah, because they do not feel inclined to compel this man to serve them by they willing to get on what he wants them to get on and to serve him. Therefore, you're grieving him. And because you're grieving him, this man's not going to do anything for you. There's not going to be any profit or benefit to you. You're not going to gain anything from that. And then you're going to end up resenting him because you're the one grieving him. I've been in this game a long time, so I've seen it from many a person. They be bad with Yahuwah because they don't want to serve Yahuwah. And they feel like he's supposed to serve them with a smile, irregardless of what they're doing. You can't buck this man on no Shabbat, blaspheme this man word in your heart, and then think he's supposed to turn around and bless you with the things that your heart desires. That's insane. That is utterly insane. Verse 8. I robbed of, this is 2 Corinthians 11 and 8, by the way. I robbed other houses, taking wages to do you service. And when I was present with you and wanted, I was chargeable to no man. For that which was lacking to me, the brethren which came from Macedonia supplied. And in all things I kept myself from being burdensome unto you. And so will I keep myself, which proved the point, what I was just talking about. As the truth of Mashiach is in me, no man shall stop me of this boasting in the regions of Achaia. Now, this is what he did, right? This man said he took from other synagogues to serve another synagogue and wasn't chargeable to anything, and anything that he did not have, brethren from Macedonia supplied him, with showing you that the laborer is worthy of his hire. He said, but I'm going to make sure that I'm not chargeable so I'm not burdensome unto others. But let's continue. As the truth of Mashiach is in, already. Wherefore, because I love you not, Elohim know. But what I do, that I will do, that I might cut off occasion for them which desire occasion, that wherein they esteem they be found, even as we. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into the apostles of Mashiach. And no marvel, for Hashatan himself is transformed into a Malachim of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. So to understand that he has servants. Now, when you look at him having servants, what will his servants do? They will take the word and twist it. They will do what Satan did and deceive you with the word. You understand? That's why you got to know the word and know what he told you to do and hold to that, because they're going to come with the word to deceive you with the word. That's how you know Satan. That's how you got to be able to know when Satan sliding through. That's what the Pharisees did. See, the law say honor your father and mother. But if you do this here, you good. See, they deceiving you with the word. But that's another conversation for another day. Let me look at this Luke 22, because that's some other stuff. That we have to take a nice, long, strong. Now, when you sit back and you look at with Judas entering into him, that's different. That's making Judas adversarial in that moment versus Judas actually speaking a word. And this is Luke 22 and 3. What we're talking about here? I'll read verse 1. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew near, which is called the Passover. The chief priests, scribes, sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. And he went his way and communed with the chief priests and the captains, how they might betray him unto them. Yeah, so that's a little different, because that's in John 13 also. So he enters into him. That makes him an adversarial individual. Let's come back to Psalms 139. We're in verse 5, if you would. I think the verse we use for this, is verse 15. We ain't even got close to verse 15. That's what the video named after. The video named after verse 15. We ain't even came close. Verse 4 again. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Yahuwah, you know all it all together. You beset me behind and before and laid your hand upon me. So praise Yahuwah. Us reading the Psalm 22, Luke 22 is beautiful. Beset is sir. That is to bind, besiege, confine, and to cramp, to shut in and to shut up. Also to be an adversary or to treat as a foe. Sor, Sad, U, Raj. Sacrifice was the way of the master. But I want you to come over here to Job 19 on general principle. For the seed, because y'all know Gad is a troop. That we get that there for those people who don't know. We running long. I know people getting tired. It's all good. Y'all know we won't go to the 8 o'clock till probably mid-October. We won't wait for time to go back in November, but it probably won't be till about mid-October. It definitely be after Tabernacles. I'm trying to remember. Let me get that specific while it's in my brain. That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. I think what we got the 19th of this month. What it is? Yeah, that sounds about right. September 19th for Tabernacles. Our time period probably be about 9. Could be 8:30, but I'll put my money on 9 o'clock. Man, I can't find that junk, man. I got too much other stuff in here. I still ain't called Buddy back. Good grief. Nevertheless, Genesis 49 real quick, like then Job 19 to John 19. Just a brief thing to bring to your remembrance. Y'all already know what it is. Yeah, I think it's Tabernacles October. First week of October. 49 and 19, Genesis 49 and 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Now remember, we're dealing with beset. He said, you have beset me, or you have besieged me, or became an adversary to me. Job 19. And when you got beset behind and before, this is easy. Easy, easy, easy. Oh, that's not what we wanted. That is what we wanted. Behind, of course, is a core, which you know is behind, hereafter. Whoa. It's not bad. It's my first time. I've never had smelt Blue Day Chanel before. And then it's pretty nice. Before is Kadem, which you know is beginning. Ancient aforetime, eastward toward the east. Lay your hand upon me. Laid is sheath. To lay one, to be opposed, to set upon. There's not there in the third. Oh, I ain't in Job yet. I'm sorry. I'm not in Job yet. Job 19 and 10. You can make it 7. Shoot, you can make it 6. Know that Elohim have overthrown me, having encompassed me with his net. That's when he say, you have beset me behind and before and laid your hand upon me. Behold, I cry out wrong, and I am not heard. I cry aloud, but there is no judgment. He hath fenced up my way that I cannot pass. He set darkness in my path. He stripped me of my esteem. He's taken the crown from my head. He destroyed me on every side, and I'm gone. And my hope have he removed like a tree. He have kindled his wrath against me, and count me unto him as one of his enemies. His troops come together and raise up their way against me, and encamp around my tabernacle. Job 19. John 19. I'm sorry. Or John 18, actually. (18 and 2). And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Yahusha oft times resorted thither with his disciples. Judas, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, come thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Yahusha, therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said unto them, whom seek you? They answered him, Yahusha Nazareth. Yahusha said unto them, I am he. Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with him. And as soon then as he said unto them, I am he, they went backwards and fell to the ground. So, you know, of course, it mentions it more. You come out against me as a thief with swords and staves, that they before and behind. And it is Yahuwah that laid that hand upon him. He said, you could have no power against me unless It was given to you from above. Remember what we read in Psalms. He said, many are the afflictions of the righteous. Many things, bad things or hard things or painful things happen to the righteous. Let me get that correct definition for you one more time. Remember, right? I think because I'm missing one. Many displeasing things, things that give pain, unpleasant, misery. Sad, unhappy things happen to the righteous. A lot of people don't want to deal with that. We're going to end right here in verse 6 in Psalms 139 for the evening. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it. When we look at Pele, Pe, Lamad, Aleph, and Yod, that is wonderful. It is incomprehensible. Secret, wonderful. I want you to keep that in mind. Because verse 6, you who are willing is where we will begin. Doth is knowledge here. That's perception, skill, discernment, understanding, and wisdom. It says such knowledge as this, it is secret. It's too high for me. Sagab for high. This is inaccessibly high. Too high to capture. I can't attain unto it. I want you to come over here, right, why this statement is relevant. And this is John chapter 3. 3 and 10. Yahushua answered and said unto him, are you a master of Yasharal and know not these things? Truly, truly, I say unto you, we speak that we do know and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our witness. If I've told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? No man have ascended up to Shamahim, but he that come down from Shamahim, even the Son of Man which is in Shamahim. And look at what it says. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain to it. That's talking about everything that we've talked about from verses 1 through 5. He said that knowledge is too high for him. And remember what that is, right? Because we already talked about his down sitting and his uprising. We've already discussed that. We just finished discussing the scattering of his path and his lying down, and that he is of service in his ways, and that a word was in his tongue, and how he has been beset or called to be an adversary or overthrown behind him before. And it is Yahuwah that laid his hand on him, and that such discernment and understanding and wisdom is just outright incomprehensible or extraordinarily wonderful. But hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. We'll stop right there. I didn't want y'all to keep in mind also the aspect of what we were talking about with those bones. Because again, we read something else in Ephesians where he said what? That this is a great mystery, or it's a secret. The verse that we used, he said that he was made, that the video is named after us, about him being made in secret. He's telling you this knowledge is so incomprehensible. It's extraordinarily wonderful. I don't even think we realize how extraordinarily wonderful the gospel is, because we take it for granted. We take it for granted. Do not take the mercy and grace of Elohim for granted. Just don't do it. It's not a wise thing to do. But I bless y'all out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua, man. Appreciate y'all time this evening. Let y'all continue to stand firm in your faith. Let that word resonate in your mind and in your heart. You who are willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow and keep it rolling and going. And you who are willing, until that time. Oh, that's just not it.